In October of 2022, I went on a site visit to Eskom's Kusile power station, and I was impressed by the fact that the power station could become one of the largest dry-cooled power stations in the world. Now, a lot has been written about the build phase of this power station, the delays, the technical problems, and the financial controversies surrounding it. But my interest in this power station is not about the past. As an educator, my interest is in the technical aspects of this station and the future of the plant. Irrespective of the past, we have this power plant in South Africa, and now we need to get as much from this plant as possible. To follow is an interview with the power station manager, where I ask him some questions about the running of Kusile power station. This interview is not meant to be a critique of Eskom or the power station. My aim is to understand a bit more about the running of a power station, and in this case, Kusile power station. In this interview, I meet with Mr Bongumusa Mashazi, who has been the power station manager for just over 1 year. I'm here with Mr Mashazi. Mr Mashazi, what is your position at Eskom?
My position at Eskom, I'm the power station general manager for Kusile. I'm responsible for generation side.
How long have you worked at Kusile?
I've only been just above a year at Kusile. I've joined this power station as general manager for generation 1st of September last year. So I just finished a year now. Looking forward to many more years here.
What is unique about Kusile power station?
Besides being the latest built project for cold Kusile power station, one Kusile power station is a supercritical boiler. So all the boilers before Kusile was built, they were critical boilers. This one is supercritical, which makes us being able to generate such high megawatts. The second unique feature of Kusile, we are using low NOx burners, which is the technology that we use on our boilers. We are also fitted with flue gas desulfurization plant. It is one of the kind in Africa. It is only found at Kusile power station. The purpose of that plant really is to lower our emissions, SO2 emissions, so that we can emit less. So currently Kusile is the only power station that is able to emit less sulfur dioxide emissions to the atmosphere. Also, as Kusile power station, we are fitted with PJFFP, which is pulsing jet fabric filter plant, which is also used to remove more particulates from the flue gas system.
What are some of the technical challenges you experience at Kusile?
One of the major challenges we are facing, as I highlighted earlier, that FGD is the first of its kind. So we are having performance challenges, and we also have got less skill in that area where the performance of the FGD is not at the desired level. We are still building skill so that we can be able to perform better in that area. We are also looking into partnering with various original equipment manufacturers so that we can be able to make sure that this plant's performance is of the high standard. So that is one of our biggest challenge that we are working on. The other challenge that we've got is that, as you may be aware, that Kusile is still a new built power station. It is not completely constructed. So unit number 5 and unit number 6 are still undergoing construction. So currently we have to balance construction requirements and operational requirements, which can be challenging sometimes in a power plant, but we are managing with our colleagues responsible for construction of the asset. Also, at Kusile power station is a fairly young plant, and majority of our teams have been with the power station from the beginning. If you study the equipment reliability, you will understand that at the early age of an asset, in a bathtub curve, you will have that infant mortality and failures that are unpredictable. So we are still going through those tedious process, but we believe that with the team that we have, we can be able to understand the failures better and be able to optimize and get reliability better. So that is still work in progress, and we are taking lessons learned unit by unit and trying to improve.
What's it like having this type of responsibility on your shoulders?
It's a very huge responsibility in a sense that we generate electricity 24/7. So as a general manager, I'm permanently on a call sometimes to assist the teams with certain technical challenges. As you might know, that our country is going through a difficult time. So the availability and we spend much more time on the call, remotely supporting the teams, working extended hours, sometimes also on non-working days. We are always available to be able to make sure that the power station does perform. When we do encounter problems, we provide maximum support from the teams. It's that job where you really are always on duty, whether you are on site or you are at home. And we also have got a couple of remote systems that helps us to be able to see what's going on and support. So I think that is the biggest challenge, that there's minimal time for rest. But the fulfilling part of it is knowing that we are able to help the country where possible. So I think that makes the responsibility bearable, because when we have units running and performing, we can see the direct impact to the energy supply. I think that's what keeps me going, and that's what keeps our teams going, knowing that we have a direct impact on the country, and when we solve our problems, we can see the positive benefits of it.
Do you sometimes have sleepless nights about Kusile?
More often, yes, I do have sleepless nights about Kusile. We are having various challenges, and some of them take a bit longer for us to be able to resolve. So I'm one person where there is an outstanding challenge. My mind works a bit extra to look for solution, and I only get to rest once I know that the solution has been found and we are able to resolve that. So that happens a lot when we've got challenges, but also when the plant is quiet, then one get an opportunity to recover from sleep.
When you tell people what you do, for example, that you work for Eskom, do you get a lot of negative comments?
Yes, I do get a lot of comments, some negative, some positive, when I tell people that I work for Eskom. I guess the reason being is that as an organization at large, obviously the country is not happy with the state of load shedding and the challenges. And if you work then for Eskom, there is an expectation that you are either part of the problem or part of the solution. But I also get to speak with other people who have an idea of the complexity and the challenges that we are dealing with, and when they see us working extra harder, they have those positive words of encouragement for us to keep going and make sure that the country is well taken care of. But yes, with load shedding, there's quite a lot of negative comments that we receive, that I personally view them as positive criticism that says we still have a lot to do to make sure that we improve the performance of our power station.
If you could tell the public 3 things about generating electricity, what would you want the public to know?
One, I would like the public to know that Eskom, and I will speak on behalf of Kusile today, that we have guardians or employees that are passionate about their work, that they would want to see this asset that is new being optimized to perform at its highest level, so that we can be able to make a significant contribution in the performance of the country. So I would first want public to know that we are working tirelessly in improving all the challenges that we have so that we can make a difference. The second thing that I would like the public to know is that to generate electricity is quite a complicated process that requires a lot of coordination and a lot of sectors to be right for us to be able to then improve performance. So what is important is that from coal supply that we receive towards the boilers and the turbines and all the other plants, you need everything to work together for us to be able to improve. Also, we need various OEMs and companies that are contractors to work with us for us to be able to make a difference. So to get Eskom right, it's a teamwork between our business partners, which is contractors, original equipment manufacturers that constructed the plant, as well as Eskom employees who wants to make a difference. So the whole process and the number of people that are involved in this value chain system, we need companies that supplies us with spares and certain services to also come to the party and work with us in ensuring that we improve performance. So it is not as easy as one guy gets to work, take a spanner, he either does the job or he doesn't do the job. It's quite a number of processes involved, number of people involved, quite a number of companies involved for us to be able to deal with it. And lastly, I would like the public to know specifically about Kusile that a new asset will undergo high failure rate of equipment in the beginning, and as we gain more insight of those failures, as we improve our reliability strategies, the public must then expect that within reasonable time, Kusile will stabilize the performance and we will start improving the performance, because we will be having a teams that now fully understand the behavior of the power plant and is able to make optimal decisions which will make this power plant to perform.
I'm sure you frequently interview new candidates for employment. How do you know if an engineer or a technologist is going to be good at their job? What are your teams looking out for when they interview new people?
The minimum requirement is you must have the qualification. If we are looking for engineers, we want you to have your BEng, your BSc in engineering or BTech. We are looking for the minimum qualification that you have. Secondly, when we interview the guys, we just test basic understanding of electricity generation. We understand that they have not been fully exposed, but we expect them to have an idea of the industry. On top of that, we are more looking for individuals that are passionate, that will want to make a difference. So we always looking for that energy from the guys who would want to make a difference, because we understand that you can have the minimum qualification that are required, but if your passion is not there, you don't have that right energy. And we understand that there are a lot of challenges in the generation space, and we need then that kind of personalities of people who are driven, who will want to solve the problems and make a difference. So when we interview the guys and we interact, we are looking for those signs that says the attitude is right, the drive is there, and they want to make a difference. The rest, we believe that skill can be taught for them to be more experienced, but attitude is something that someone must bring when they come for an interview, and that passion, we want to see it so that we can then be able to trust that in the midst of challenges, but this person will have a resolve and a drive to make a difference.
What advice do you have for students who are studying to be technicians or technologists or engineers?
My advice to them is that if you are studying engineering or technology, there is a space within South Africa, especially in the power industry, for them to make a huge difference. We need a skill in that area. We need a lot of skill as a country in the area of engineering, so that we can then be able to raise our own specialists that will come up with a lot of innovative ways to resolve our problems. So there will always be space for them to contribute and make a difference in the field of engineering.
You mentioned that we need a lot of skills. Have you faced any challenges with the skill shortage?
Yes, we have faced a number of challenges with skills shortage. Basically in the power plant, where we have activities where we do not have skill, then we will then use the OEMs, the original equipment manufacturers, to supplement our skill in order to resolve those problems. But more importantly, we then contract them to be able to upskill our guys so that in the future we will then have build our own skills. So in the space of the boiler and the turbine, we will have our guys locally, but we will then sign as and when required contracts with those OEMs so that when we face advanced problems that we've not seen, we can then have our local teams engaging with the guys, whether overseas or already here, so that we can then be able to upskill them.
Do you think that's just a South African problem, or is that a problem worldwide with high-level skills being unavailable?
I think it's beyond South Africa. I think it's what is happening in most of developing countries. I think we are not there in certain areas. Mind you, some of these OEM have got capability to design, to manufacture, to commission and do the other things. So they are able to build skill around the products that they have. While on our side, we buy to operate and maintain and utilize that. So I think if we could have more of locally designed, manufactured stuff, then we should be able to be on our path to grow the challenge, to grow the skill that is required and be able to fill the gaps.
What advice do you have for lecturers who teach electrical engineering or mechanical engineering? Are we missing some topics? Are the students that we're providing inefficient in certain areas?
I think the advice I can give is that we need more of strategic partnership with the industry. I think we need more of industry-generated or industry-based solutions on real issues and the gaps, and then we make sure then that our institutions are geared towards solving the real challenges that are there. I've studied engineering myself. We've done some of the projects. I was privileged that in my days as an undergrad, we did a lot of industry-based visits and we did a lot of problem solving from there. I think that provides a different caliber of the engineers that are produced. So there is more room for institutions to partner with the industry and have problems that they are experiencing and then generate academics based on those problems. And I think we could be able then to close the gap. I think most importantly also, beside that part, if we could get then government to help the institutions to then support that we have an industrialization where whatever then design expertise, whatever problems that there must be then an opportunity either for low-scale industrialization where the students can get an opportunity to manufacture whatever ideas that they've got into certain products that could be used in the industry.
If a generating unit trips unexpectedly, what does that mean for you?
One, when it trips, it means we need to quickly find a way to understand what's the cause of the trip so that we can be able to restore it back because the impact of it on the grid is huge. Secondly, as a power station general manager, then I have to get continuous feedback from my teams around the investigation and whether we are able to return the unit safely or not. So when a unit typically trips, it then disturbs because you then need to put all the effort and support the guys to be able to return it. We have our trip response team. So those guys who are in the trip response team, they will have to stop everything else and prioritize the return to service of the trip. Not everyone gets involved. If the trip comes from the turbine area, obviously we will expect that more disturbance will happen on the turbine. Vis-a-vis when the trip comes from the boiler area, we'll get more disturbance from the boiler or any other plant, and then the teams will support.
Is this a 24-hour job dealing with a trip?
It is a 24-hour job, whether we trip during the normal working hours or after hours. So after hours, the shift manager on site will then call standby teams who will leave their houses back to site to be able to investigate and find the root cause of the trip and determine whether it's safe to return the unit and do it. When we are on site, the teams then respond from site. So it's Monday to Sunday. It's 24/7. We are able to provide that support for that. We never leave a unit because it's after hours.
I was informed that there are some security challenges driving into Kusile, the highway that feeds, or the main road that feeds Kusile. Sometimes there's criminals who put things in the road or attempt to hijack the engineers. How does that impact the morale, or how do you work around the challenges of crime in South Africa?
So we do get affected by such. I run on a quarterly basis a joint planning committee where the security cluster is involved, SAA, SEPS and everyone, where we discuss how to better secure the national key point, but also we get a platform to engage SEPS and other security cluster to see how they can better support us when we have issues. When they block us sometimes for economic reason, we do get SEPS to respond and help us to deal with the situation. Also, we have had instances where sometimes we will get delayed responses to attend to the units because certain areas of the public are blocked and people must find alternative ways in order to come. So it does directly affect our ability to respond to the issues and generate electricity. But what is encouraging is that we then work together with the security cluster to try and provide safety and security of our employees and business partners to come to work so that we can continue generating electricity.
Do you feel safe working at a power plant? Not specifically an Eskom question, just a general question.
Depending on what role you have, there will be general safety issues when we talk about public riots or blockages or certain things like that, or when you have to drive after hours because there are issues that you must attend to. That normally will affect general employees or contractors. From there, I think I've explained how we partner with the SEPS and the rest to try and deal with that. But when you are a general manager in a power station or any of the senior managers, there's other security issues that comes from certain people of the public believing that you need to do something, whether support their businesses or you are not doing better or not employing better, where then sometimes you then get targeted by some of those groups in attempt to get you to advance their own interests. So to manage a power plant is a bit more complex than the megawatts, and coming in here, we have to deal with some of these socio-economic issues and pressures.
So you're not worried that there'll be a big explosion and everybody will have to evacuate or something like that?
Well, inside the power station, we also have got our operation on its own has got a safety aspect. So what we do is that depending on plant areas, we do our risk assessment. We have done scenarios for emergency, so we do what is called emergency preparedness, and then we'll have our contingency plan. In an unlikely event that a certain type of an emergency arises, we already know what will be the way to deal with it. So we are always conscious of safety from the production and the operations. There are things also as part of a normal running of a power plant that you need to continuously monitor to make sure that we keep it operating within the safe parameters, so that we don't have explosion, we don't have uncontrolled release of certain things. So that is part of our day-to-day. Part of our values is really zero harm, driving the operation that will not lead to any harm.
What are your goals for this power plant?
Our first goal as Kusile Power Station 1 is that this power station needs to be the construction needs to be completed so that we can then have the biggest power plant that will generate 4,800 megawatts That's one part. The second part is we are working hard under operatings and maintenance to make sure that we optimize the performance and reliability of the power plant so that it can be able to give the maximum power that it can give in a reliable manner than currently it is. Thirdly, we want to take pride in doing that without harming the environment or harming people around the power station. So those are our three primary goals: to improve the performance, to complete the construction, improve the performance, and making sure that we do that without harm, whether it's people or environment.